Hello and welcome to Dino, only on Ride Radio and all of our other affiliations. My name's Eldin. It's been a long time. I'm back, and I'm ready to talk about dinosaurs today. Now, of course, and obviously, Dino, why are we talking about dinosaurs? Well, I saw a new movie, and it wasn't Spider-Man, to the chagrin of The Office, but it was The End of Oak Street, which is yeah, I don't even know what to tell you. I really enjoyed it. I think it's actually a really decent watch. You have, again, Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor. You know how I feel about useless children in movies, and they actually weren't that useless this time either. So all in all, I'd say it was a good movie. I'm not gonna do any big spoilers. I'm just talking about what is seen in the movie today. So I have a list here from Dinopedia, and it was brought up because this is what is confirmed in the movie. So Allosaurus, Coelophysis, Spinosaurus, Stegosaurus, Gargania, Camarasaurus, Pterodactylus, Ankylosaurus, Scipionyx, Tropognathus, Megalocleus, and then Titanoboa. And then I have another one I just put it in and said, what are the dinosaurs there? So this is just a different list, but still very same. You see Megalocleus is a giant turtle. We have pterosaurs, just the generalized term. And technically Tropognathus is a pterosaur, but we'll get into that. So that's the list. I have I'm going to just kind of talk about quick facts about what these dinosaurs are. Now, I've talked about them before, so I'm kind of just going to go through them. So starting off, we have Allosaurus, which is kind of like the big villain of the movie. And it's hard to find images, and it's only been out for a week. So I'm just not going to use a lot of images unless it's kind of talking about certain things that I could find. So Allosaurus, one of my favorite dinosaurs, lived during the late Jurassic period, roughly 155 to 143 million years ago. Most of Allosaurus' fossils, and it's the holotype or the main type, is Allosaurus fragilis, are found in the Morrison Formation, while some others are found in Portugal, from Lorena, Albaca, and Bamaral. The first fossil remains were described by Charles C. Marsh in 1877. The name means different lizard. They averaged the average size was 8.5 meters in length, while the largest specimens could get up to 9.7 meters, which is 32 feet in length. Big dinosaur. Very, very cool. Again, I love this thing. Two different ideas of how Allosaurus would have hunted. Either it was more like a lone hunter, and then maybe would have kind of conglomerated to help organize hunts, or just a pack hunter 24/7. That's what it would do. There is some evidence that supports both cases, so that's kind of that. Then we have Spinosaurus, and again, I'm trying to stay away from spoilers. These are all in the movie. I'm not going to tell you where they are. I really think you should watch this. I again, really enjoyed it. And it wasn't like watching the later Jurassic Worlds where I was just miserable to sit near as I whined and complained through the movie. This actually was really enjoyable. So Spinosaurus lived in the late Cretaceous, and that's kind of you hear that, Jurassic, Cretaceous. Okay. Roughly about 100 to 94 million years ago. First discovered in Egypt in 1912, and then described by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer in 1915. Now, what happened after 1915? We have some issues, a couple world wars. Now, World War II, the original remains of Spinosaurus were destroyed in the bombing of Berlin, which the bombing of Berlin really ruined a lot of stuff for a lot of fossils. Most well-known type species is Spinosaurus aegypticus, found in Europe, in the Bahariya Formation, and in Morocco, in the Kemkem beds. S. mirabilis is known from the Ferak Formation in Niger. One of the largest terrestrial known carnivores ever. It could have reached up to 14 meters, so 46 feet, and could have weighed up to 7.4 tons. So a very large, heavy carnivore. And again, a lot of things have changed. It's not your basic Jurassic Park 3, where it's this, bipedal monster that can kill a T-Rex. No, it's more like a swimming dinosaur, or at least mostly a wading dinosaur. Then we have Coelophysis, which Coelophysis, if you've ever watched Walking with Dinosaurs, it's one of the very earliest dinosaurs you ever see in that. Coelophysis lived in the late Triassic period. And again, that's okay, so Jurassic, Cretaceous, and now we're saying Triassic. So Triassic period, about 215 to 201.4 million years ago. Found in the southwestern United States, coelophysis could grow up to 3 meters, so about 9.8 feet in length, and could be up to a meter tall at the hip. Its weight is estimated at 15 kilograms, which is 33 pounds. But recently, that weight has been upped to an estimated of 25 kilograms, 55 pounds. So, realistically, you could curl a coelophysis. Coelophysis bowery was described by Edward Drinker Cope in 1889. Coelophysis is one of the most specimen-rich dinosaur genera ever. We have found loads of them. Then we have Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus was once deemed the most grotesque animal ever, and I believe the New York Times. That was in like the 1800s. It lived in the late Jurassic. So now we're back to the Jurassic. Okay, we're getting back to kind of like the same time frame, between 155 to 145 million years ago. Now found in the Upper Morrison Formation in western United States and, lo and behold, Portugal. So now we have Allosaurus and Stegosaurus, same locations. I like this. I'm okay with this. The largest known specimen was about 7.5 meters, 25 feet in length, and weighing over 5 tons, and its name means roofed lizard. And fun fact about Stegosaurus, aside from being the most grotesque animal ever, it was also the tail, which the tail spikes, and I tell this story all the time. I grew up big fan of the Far Side comics with Gary Larson, and Gary Larson makes a joke with cavemen talking about how, you know, they named this spiked tail the Thagomizer because unfortunately Thag got destroyed. And at that point, scientists and paleontologists hadn't actually named called the tail anything yet. So the name Thagomizer stuck, and now because of that, the the Stegosaurus's tail is now coined the Thagomizer, which is really cool. Then we have Garjania. And Garjania is very interesting. So it's an archosauriform reptile, which is kind of, archosaurs were almost like land crocodiles, not related to crocodilians, but still reptiles in themselves. And it lived during the early Triassic, which is in the opaline stage, roughly 251.2 to 247 million years ago. So coelophysis and Garjania wouldn't have seen each other. It was described in 1958 by Soviet paleontologists Vitaly Gorgovich Ochev, and based on fossils found in Orenburg Oblast, Russia. Then we have Camarasaurus, which is one of the I love sauropods as much as, like, you know, they're kind of just, they're big dinosaurs, but it's so cool. So it lived during the Jurassic, 155 to 143 million years ago. So again, Jurassic. Over 530 specimens have been found in the Morrison Formation in western United States. And this makes it one of the most common dinosaurs found in this formation and one of the best understood sauropods ever. 530 specimens, ranging from, I believe the earliest, like literally the youngest, was, I guess, like in eggs, and then the oldest being like a 40-year-old individual. So we have Camarasaurus from a baby, like not even a born baby, an egg baby, all the way to, we think, towards the end of their life cycle, which is so cool. So its name means chambered lizard, and it was named in 1877 by Edward Drinker Cope from fossils found in Garden Park, Colorado. It's called a bulky sauropod. It had a wide rib cage, a skull proportionally larger than other sauropods. So Camarasaurus usually has like this big bulbous head. Pretty accurate. At the hip, Camarasaurus would have been between 4.5 to 7.6 meters, 15 to 25 feet, and that's at the hip. So it's these legs, these back legs, are like 4 times the height I am. And if you took measurements from when its neck was raised, it would have been able to reach 9 to 10 meters in height. So 30 feet. That's a big dinosaur. It weighed anywhere between 20 to 25 tons. Now, originally I went to Wikipedia and I looked this up, and it said that the upper estimates of Camarasaurus primus, or primus, sort of it's called, was around 40 tons. Now, that is a gross misestimate. From other sources, there's nothing even close to that. That was comparing it to a titanosaur, so that's not really a thing. Then we have Scipionyx, which you will see briefly in the movie, discovered by Giovanni Todesco, who was an amateur paleontologist in 1981, Naples, and brought to the attention of science in 1993. It lived in the early Cretaceous in the Pertrolia Formation of Italy. around 133 million years ago. So it wasn't named until 1998, and its name means Scipio's claw. Now, who is Scipio? That's a good question. I did not find that information, unfortunately, but if Scipio had, this would be his claw. Only one fossil has ever been found, but this one fossil is incredibly preserved, which is so cool. It has large areas of petrified soft tissue, internal organs, as well as muscle and bone cells properly and like very well petrified. So just so cool. This fossil is that of a juvenile and was most likely a baby. Now Wikipedia says it was probably about 3 days old. Wikipedia is not entirely correct sometimes, but I'm trying to not ask AI and try to do my own research, so I put a lot of effort into this, and from what I've found, it was a young individual. Now, the young individual measured 46.1 centimeters, so 18.1 inches in length. Now, due to the only one fossil being found, and that fossil was so young, it's really impossible to tell how big they could have gotten. We don't really even know where to classify them on the chart of dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs, they are theropods. We just don't really know where. So we know it was a carnivore, though, because we found remains of lizards and fish preserved in its guts. Then we have Tropoganathus, and I love Tropoganathus. It's a cool thing to say. Its name means keel jaw, and it's got one of those very interesting jaws that you get in, pterosaurs, where instead of having the point, it's got a beak within, it has a curved, almost like an egg beater at the end of upside down and on the top of it. So it's really cool. It lived during the early Cretaceous of South America. The exact date it was discovered is unknown, but in the 1980s, the German Paleontology Museum in Munich acquired/bought a pterosaur skull from Brazilian fossil dealers. That fossil was probably found near Sierra, or Chiara. I don't really know I should have looked up how to pronounce that, but it was named in 1987 by Peter Wellenhofer, and its estimated wing size, or wingspan, was 8.5 meters, so 28 feet in length. This puts it as the largest pterosaur found in the Southern Hemisphere if you don't count Asdarchids. Asdarchids, cool. Hatzegopteryx, Quetzalcoatlus, just giant flying pterosaurs. Now again, that's a couple things that aren't dinosaurs, but I'm okay with that. Then we have Megalochus, or Lochis. Megalochis was first named in 1837 by Hugh Falconer and Proby Cotley. Cool name. From remains found in the Silvilek Hills of northern India. These remains were then named Megalochus sivalensis. After many years of debate over its proper name and relatives of what it was, Megalochus atlas is generally called the valid name of the species. Now, Megalochus atlas is as big as a punch buggy. This thing was humongous. So the extinct tortoise genus, it lived in the Miocene to the Pleistocene, which is kind of the closest any of these have been so far. The largest known tortoise ever had a maximum carapace length of over 2 meters. 6.5 feet was Megalochus atlas. This thing was an absolute monster of a tortoise. Again, it would be bigger than the car you drive if you're or if everyone knows what a car is. This thing was probably as big as it. It lived in Western India and Pakistan to as far east as the Sulawesi and Timor in Indonesia. Now, weight estimates vary greatly, with the upper guesses reaching, and this is kind of crazy, 4,000 kilograms, so 8,800 pounds, but based on volumetric displacement of the skeleton, it suggests a more conservative estimate of 1,000 kilograms, which is about 2,200 pounds, so a ton. And you can kind of figure that out by putting this skeleton into water and or other things and see what is pushed out based on what you're pushing down. Now, Ankylosaurus, we're almost there. I know this is a long list, but Ankylosaurus was then also seen in the movie briefly. It lived during the Cretaceous period about 70 to 66 million years ago in the western parts of North America. This makes Ankylosaurus one of the last non-avian dinosaurs ever, which is so cool. It was named by Barnum Brown in 1908, and it only has one type in its genus. It is monotypic, which is Ankylosaurus magniventris. So its name means fused or bent lizard. It's estimated to have been between 6 to 8 meters, 20 to 26 feet long, and could have weighed between 4.8 to 8 tons. So a very large dinosaur. Again, Ankylosaurus, big tail club, just a monster. Then we have two left I want to talk about. And we have Titanoboa. Lived during the middle to late Paleocene epoch, which takes place technically after the KG extinction. So Ankylosaurus was dead 66 million years ago. Anywhere between like 60 to 50. Titanoboa pops up. First discovered in the early 2000s by a Smithsonian tropical research team and students from the University of Florida in Cerrejón Mines in Colombia. It was named in 2009, and it's named as the largest snake ever. And now that may have been put away. There is a giant, almost like giant sea crate, which is an aquatic snake, that may have taken that. But at the time of this, I'm assuming when these notes were written, it hadn't been updated yet. Now, its name means Titanic boa, Titanoboa. It's in the name. It was estimated to grow between 12.8 meters, 42 feet, or at the upper estimates, 14.3 meters. That is 47 feet long. This snake, like this is an incredible creature. That's a supposedly life size, and I want you to look at that and realize that thing could swallow me whole. It could swallow anything whole at that point. It's not going to swallow an elephant, but of us, if it swallow people pretty easily. And yeah, I don't know why that kid's poking it like that. Get your hands off of that. But that's Titanoboa. And then last up is Pterodactylus. Now, it lived during the late Jurassic period. So again, we're back to the Jurassic. 150.8 to 148.5 million years ago. Found mostly in Bavaria, Germany, but other fossils have been tentatively identified elsewhere in Europe and in Africa. And it was first described by the Italian scientist Cosimo Alessandro Collini in 1784. Now, that's the dinosaurs in the movie. So to go back over that, I know it was a long-winded thing. We have Allosaurus, Spinosaurus, Coelophysis, Stegosaurus, Gargantia, Camarasaurus, Scipionyx, Tropognathus, Megalochius, Ankylosaurus, Titanoboa, and Pterodactylus. Now, out of that, not all those are dinosaurs, so we'll just call them dinosaurs and friends. And I want to talk about what they got wrong, because I really enjoyed the movie. I think if you watch it from the story is really interesting. The family gets transported back in time, and they did a lot of good things with the movie. I actually think, for once, I don't have a ton of cons, but the things that they got wrong were things that we've figured out and kind of locked in by this point. Now, the movie's supposed to take place, I think, in the 80s, and at one point they do lift up a book and kind of go over the late dinosaur descriptions, and a lot of the dinosaurs weren't obviously scientifically accurate because it was the 80s. We were still learning. So if that's kind of the prerogative of what this movie's doing, I like it. Because you're basing it off of what the book, what the dinosaur book that the kid's reading, you're like, oh, okay, we don't even know what they look like that time. Cool. But if we base it off of in 2026, what we know, unfortunately, we know a lot more. So what the movie got wrong. It grouped a lot of these dinosaurs, and you could really just say animals, separated by tens to hundreds of millions of years. So I even got a little thing with all my info on it to show that we got a lot of issues with this. Okay, so going from this is organized by geological period or epoch. So we have Gargantia, 251 to 247 million years ago. That's early Triassic. Coelophysis, late Triassic. 215 to 201 million years ago. So those two are the oldest, and they're still separated by 46 million years. Pterodactylus, Allosaurus, Camarasaurus, Stegosaurus. All late Jurassic. All probably survived the same. They would have seen each other. No issues there. Going into this movie, what I assumed was that Allosaurus was the villain, and you do see that in the trailers. And it was a Jurassic movie. It was almost like, oh, we're doing Jurassic Park, but it's actually going to be all from the Jurassic. This is so cool. And that was not what happened. Then we have Tropognathus, Scipionyx. They're both early Cretaceous, so between 110 million years to 113 million years. Spinosaurus is late Cretaceous. Spinosaurus and Ankylosaurus. Late Cretaceous is kind of funny to say because late Cretaceous ends with the asteroid smoking the Earth, so without actually hitting the Earth, they would just kept going. So late Cretaceous, 100 to 94 million years ago, and Ankylosaurus, 70 to 66 million years ago. So still same time period, but separated by 24 million. It's not even 24 years. It's 24 million years. Titanoboa is the late Paleocene, which is 60 to 58 million years. So nothing. And then Megaloceus, and I love this. We think Megaloceus was wiped out by Homo erectus when we moved into parts of India and parts of Asia and killed and ate them. So from the Miocene to the Pleistocene, which is 2.58 million years, to 12,000 years ago. 12,000 years. Early humans preyed on these turtles, and you have them in a movie with dinosaurs. That's like having that's like having your dog in in this movie. Like, it just, that was, so the time periods were a bit of an issue. I didn't really care that they had them all in different areas. Realistically, Stegosaurus, Camarasaurus, Allosaurus, and Pterodactylus. So they're all from the Jurassic. Pterodactylus, it flies. Could they have flown towards, North America at the time? Because you have to think of, at this point, Pangea was very different. So Pangea was still kind of there and still separating. I'm okay with that. The rest of them I could really care less. But I liked that there was a big difference. I really did enjoy that we had Gargania, Coelophysis, we had Scipionyx, Titanoboa. It was really cool to see all these different things. But it's supposed to be this family being transported back in time to a swamp in the Jurassic. And that's the problem, is it's in the Jurassic. And it's a swamp. It's not an ocean. It's not you're not somewhere random. It's literally this huge swamp with these giant conifers and there's all these different things, and that was just not an issue. Then we're going to get to the Spinosaurus. You'll see the Spinosaurus at one point, and it doesn't look right. And that's a big issue I had, was that the Spinosaurus looked as if we didn't know what, when you look at what Spinosaurus was first made to be looking like when we first reconstructed them. That's what they kind of picked this as. And it wasn't wasn't my thing. Then we have the Pterodactylus scale. So I have a picture to put up of Pterodactylus, because we kind of have what they actually looked like. And Pterodactylus was like house cat size. We have birds bigger than this thing. And in the movie, they did play a pivotal role in kind of being a fear factor. And they were, bigger than, well, I'd say as wide as a person. And look at that thing. If you had a tennis racket, you could swat the thing out of the air. I've met, random street squirrels that could probably give me more issues than this thing could. And that's kind of the kind of only really issue I had with the Pterodactylus. When I saw Tropogonathius, I was like, oh man, that's so cool. I love Tropogonathius. This is amazing. And I find its size, they were still longer than they should have been, but it was still fun. And then there was just a lot of issues with proto-feathers. So proto-feathers, we know dinosaurs had feathers. We do have a picture of Coelophysis actually as well, because Coelophysis this is from the trailer. That's supposed to be a Coelophysis. Coelophysis was a meter at the hip. That head is a meter. That woman's that poor old lady is getting jumped by a Coelophysis that's 4 times the size of any Coelophysis has ever been. And the Coelophysis played a big role as being this, again, scary, we're going to get you, we're going to eat you. It's a meter at the hip. They are 9 feet long, but it's still a meter at the hip. You could use a baseball bat on these things. You could fist fight a Coelophysis. So a lot of issues with sizes. I don't have a picture of the Titanoboa, because it's white. It's so pale and pasty white that it looks almost albino. And we know for a fact that Titanoboa would have had a more accurate and more relatable coloration to modern day boas and anacondas. The Titanoboa was longer than the house. Its size kind of changed through the movie, so I wasn't a big fan of that either. Aside from the proto feathers and that, I honestly think it was a really decent movie. I really hope you enjoy if you do watch it. I highly recommend it. If you're a dinosaur lover, if you like a good movie, I left the theater saying, wow, that was actually really enjoyable. And if you watched my Jurassic Flop when I talked about Jurassic World Rebirth, and if you know me and my stance on Jurassic World Dominion, you'll know how I feel about movies that just really change how dinosaurs act. And this one felt like a breath of fresh air. Like there was a couple issues, but I really did just really enjoy what I was watching. Like there was times in the theater where something would happen and everyone would be like, oh, or it's kind of be quiet and it would just go like dead silent. And those moments, like this was directed really well. I think J.J. Abrams did an amazing job on this. So yeah, I can't hype it enough. If you really want to enjoy it, definitely go check it out. But aside from that, I have been Eldin Atkin. This has been Dino, and I hope you enjoyed today. Stay curious. Try to keep dinosaurs in your mind because they are just so cool. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.